Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is Dspnews, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newsroom and welcome to the Goutopia News Network, your unreliable source for DSP News. This is the Snort Report. Oh yes, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on a bit of a hiatus. Work's been kicking my ass. Had some other stuff going. It is what it is. I've missed quite a bit. As I always do, I'm going to catch up. As everybody here at GTG Network Productions is going to do. They're going to blame me for being late. And we're going to catch up. So, trust me, everything's in the works. Ladies and gentlemen, what have I missed that I should actually tell you guys about? Because you guys are going to get some two-parters, actually. Well, we have Flap Day, or Goutopia Flap Day, if you will. You're going to get two broadcasts out of that. And then we have Phil's 7 days of, or 7 years of self-masturbation. Him acknowledging slander, yada yada yada. You're gonna get two broadcasts out of that. I'll go into that further later. As you guys know, there is a channel update / network update coming up soon, so look out for that. You know, there's a new layout. I want to get some feedback from you guys, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, you guys aren't here for any excuses. Let's go ahead and get into the report. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with one of our favorites, Snort Burnell, Dspgaming. Just a little rant about YouTube and long hair to hide. Basically, it's like some type of hair. It's some type of scalp / hair deficiency that is speculated that Phil has. I'm not going to pronounce it because I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. You know how I do. Now, as it pertains to Phil and his thinning hair, right? If it is a condition, which it probably is. It's probably not just hereditary hair loss. It's probably something a bit more extensive. If it is what it is, I'm not surprised. Phil is kind of like a petri dish of just mistakes, even on a genetic level. Look at how he's carried. To give you guys a point of example, on Kiwi Farms, they were talking about this about a week or two ago, and I've been looking into it a little bit, and I think G Money actually sent me a message on Twitter, so it kind of all ties together. Have any of you ever noticed how flat the back of Phil's head is? I never really noticed. I just think of him as like a strange blockhead. But not like Charlie Brown. I love Charlie Brown, but you know, feels like a blockhead. But like, people have Mrhuth Stuff actually is the one who started this conversation a little bit, or at least helped add to it on Twitter. And then Kiwi Farms picked it up and they ran with it, and it's a great read if you guys ever get a chance to go over it about how flat Phil's head is, and the back of his head anyway. And because of that, there is a condition out there that is tied to the abuse of either alcohol or tobacco throughout its pregnancy, or a pregnancy, and then also linked to child neglect, meaning laying the child down and for long periods of time and not picking the child back up, not being extensive with, you know, having them turn their head and things of that sort. So some of that has come up also. Now, some of the long-term effects of the whole flat head situation leads to behavioral problems, emotional issues, so on and so forth. Some of the things that Phil himself actually suffers from. Extremely interesting read, and it'll be something that we'll touch on at a later time and date. On top of that, shouts out to Declan Reed. He's feeling a lot better. If you guys follow him on Twitter, you know what some of the things that he's been going through, and I'm glad the dude's all right. And hopefully in a couple months, you know what I'm saying, our boy will be ready to get back into the ring, and he has a lot of input on some of the things that's been going on. So you'll definitely find him over there on the Gentleman's Club podcast, and hopefully I can get him over here on live from the Gentleman's Club on this channel, so on and so forth, as well as when the update video comes out. There are some people who I'd like to talk to. There's some people who they're asking to do collabos, so on and so forth. I will try to get as many people in there as I can. So that's something to look forward to also. Speaking of which, to Crash Bandicoot, you had mentioned an individual who wanted to speak to me. If you could just drop me his name, or if that individual's on Twitter, I will, you know what I'm saying, I'm perfectly cool with reaching out to him, or he or she, and you know, see what that's about. So if you remember who that individual was, please let me know and whatnot. Just drop the name down there. You can hit me up on Twitter, whatever the case may be, and we can see what happens with that. I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the whole situation with Phil and his ailing health and whatnot. And let's see, what's the next thing? And then a little bit of drama, or sorry, a little rant about YouTube. It's funny how a person who talks about talks about, keyword, about how YouTube doesn't mean much to him, and you know, it's just an archive channel and so on and so forth, bitches so much about it. But then again, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a platform, archive or not, that is making our boy Phil about $35,000 to about $50,000 a year. Not a lot to sneeze at. And at the end of the day, this is where Phil started. So Phil isn't trying to give it up and whatnot. And that's why, even though he can try to claim the small victory by having certain individuals kicked off of Twitch, he wants to be home, if you will. But he can't. He has no control over here. He has no power over here. It's literally the Wild West. And more importantly, he has no real influence. The fact that he can still make $30,000 to $50,000 off shit, he should be so glad. But Phil wants more. It's in his nature. It's in his nature to have more and want more. And then coming off of the whole Pro Jared situation and him wanting more and more clout from that and so on and so forth, despite the fact that no prominent gamers have come out to support him on that, just other big YouTubers, means nothing. Those people who have flocked over to him from that whole Twitter situation will be gone in a couple of days. They'll be gone. After they're expecting to see something from Phil, drama. And when Phil doesn't deliver because he's scared, then they'll leave. Or when they find that he's just uninteresting. Or when they find out that all he really cares about is money. If you look at that 7 years of self-masturbation, what was it? Oh guys, I'm here to clear the air about this, that, and third, and I'm ready to go ahead and talk about all the slander I've gone through over the last 7 years and everything that's hurting me and my name and my brand and this, that, and the third. Give me money. I really need that money to pay my bills and to bring me out of the financial situation that I'm in. Please, please help me. Please help me. That's what it was. Instead of taking this opportunity and building off of it and being patient and trying to actually sculpt a new, almost a new image of himself, he immediately went to victim, not my fault, it was this person's fault, give me money. I know, you guys are like, yo, GTG, we're waiting for that video, save the rant for that. You're right, my apologies. Let's go ahead and get into what the situation is proper. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Snort Report. This is DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network Productions. You guys all know the slogan. Getting a little amped. But it's been a couple days since I've been behind the mic. I hope you guys are all doing well. It's time to watch me work.
Holy shit! That is an epic fucking intro, dude. And I have to warn everyone. Warning. What you may see right now is going to be absolutely disgusting. Sound good?
Alright. Sounds good to me.
Now, before we get to...
Ladies and gentlemen, yet again, we are here with one of our favorites, Snort Burnell, Dspgaming. A little rant about YouTube and long hair. Long hair to hide whatever particular condition our boy is suffering from. Oink, oink, squeal, squeal, ree. You guys know the situation. Let's go ahead and get into it.
The usual schedule of pre-stream, meaning, you know, the plugs and then the shout-outs. I have a really quick topic I want to talk about. Alright? We all know how bad YouTube's automated systems are. I mean, whether it's for copyright, whether it's for content ID, whether it's for whatever it is, no matter what their system is, demonetizing for violence and stuff. It's all garbage. It's run by robots. It doesn't have any kind of a subjective eye on anything. It's just an algorithm that runs, and 95% of the time, when these things identify a video for either a content ID or demonetization, it's incorrect. It's erroneous, but they don't care. Their excuse at YouTube is, oh, our business is too big for humans to do anything with, so we have to write all these robots and algorithms to do everything for us, even though they're all faulty and they don't fucking work.
Now, here's the thing, before he goes ahead and bites the hand that feeds him. As it pertains to Phil believing that YouTube needs all these humans over there to literally go over every video that comes in on a literally by a minute basis is ridiculous. It's just not possible. Let's go ahead and call a spade, right? Over there on Twitch, there's so much bullshit. There's so much favoritism. There's just so much general crap that goes on that literally the administration has been caught sectioning off certain people that are considered high priority, basically those at the very top. Well, you have the people that are untouchable, quote unquote, allegedly untouchable, the people that are high priority, and then everything's broken down like that. There are people who have been on Twitch for years, never had anything going against them, never had any negativity, if you want to call it, against them. No strikes on their channel, never been suspended. People that have 5,000-6,000, subs, not followers, but subs and whatnot, who can hold thousands of people on a hourly basis for months, if not years on end, never get partnered. Most of them are never even asked to be affiliates. Actually, let me word that. Those who are never asked to be partnered and those who have been applying for affiliation for months, if not almost a year or two, and never have gotten a response or have been turned down. There's obviously way too much bullshit that happens on Twitch. Now, is everything over there dirty and erroneous? No. Let's call spade. Let's be honest. Play devil's advocate. No. But there is a lot of bullshit that goes on over there. If Darksydephil can continue doing the shit that he does over there and gets off with minor infractions, there's bullshit. Even some of the shit that Wings has done, and if he can get away with it, it's still kind of bullshit. This is just how it works. You know what I'm saying? Now, just imagine how YouTube was back in the day. Everybody got away with slick shit, but most people got away with more than others. Now, because there's a bunch of things wrong with the system. The copyright system, claims, all kinds of shit. We all know this. The system for disputing copyright strikes and shit is complete and total bullshit. Hence the reason why all that doxing is going on. It's just all kinds of nonsense. But this is how the system goes. But why are you bitching about it, Phil? You're over there. You're over there. You're in your little safety. You're over wrapped up in your little pig in a blanket, and you're over there in your little box, which is actually a microwave, just in case you didn't know. And you getting cooked. And the thing is people like me, I haven't been paying enough attention because I'm actually making real breakfast over here because I don't need to jump into my freezer and grab some microwavable shit. Not to say there's anything wrong with microwavable stuff, but if you're going to eat a pig in a blanket, cook it in the oven or a toaster oven. Trust me, you'll thank me later. And whatnot, or in a skillet. I've tried it in the skillet recently, actually. It's actually pretty good. Our intern knows what she's talking about. Anyway, she really do. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's those who go the extra mile, things will be worthwhile. Okay, sorry, back to the subject. So there's just a lot of nonsense that goes on YouTube. But most of it can be disputed. Most of it can get worked out. Phil, and this whole thing about having his over 100,000 subs, still believes that he should be catered to. When there are people who have 1 million subs who go through more shit on a daily basis than you do, Phil. Having 100,000 subs don't mean shit. Having 1 million subs, sadly, at this point, don't mean shit. If you don't have, and this is just my own personal opinion, but from what I've seen, if you don't have 10 million subs or more, unless you're willing to put the footwork in, or if you have notoriety, real notoriety, that expands past your sub count, it doesn't matter. You're just going to have to, you're going to either have to lay on your back and take it. I'm not going to make any jokes about Kat because she's kind of off limits right now. Kinda. Or you actually put some work in and get shit done. That's the point. But let's hear what he has to bitch about, though.
Ow! Why'd you do that? Why did you do that? Why'd you just go to bite mommy? Wow. Alright. So you see what pigs can do.
Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, like, if this was my mom... First off, if my mom told me she had a pet pig, I'd be like, okay. And then the next morning she wake up and breakfast is being cooked, and she's like, "That smells delicious." Indeed, it does. End of story on that. But secondly, if I was gonna be silly enough to let this happen, because obviously she must not have any kids of her own, or she's just kind of a little bit senile, or whatever the case may be. And you're doing this, right? And my mother told me that, oh, the pet pig bitter. Oh, the pet piggy gonna get cooked. like he gonna get cooked for real. Like that's gonna be his last day on Earth. You know what I'm saying? Squabbling around, and then we're having a barbecue that weekend. Pure and simple. End of story. I always wanted to say that. I never just came around to actually thinking about doing it. But that's what's gonna happen to that pig. And then we just get, and then most of you are like, "Oh, GTG, that's messed up, man. Your mother's not gonna have a pig around anymore. This, that, and the third." Well, okay, well then we'll find another little piglet for her, and she can raise that one up too. And if that one ends up getting plump and juicy, and enough that can feed more than 12 people, and it tries to bite, guess what? That one gets scooped up too. End of story. There's no need to let deviled bacon go to waste.
Every day, no exaggeration, I get multiple notices from YouTube that more videos have been content ID flagged, that more videos are being taken down for copyright. In fact, my entire binary domain playthrough, anyone remember that one? Binary domain from back in the day? The game that kind of wanted to be Mass Effect?
No, no one remembers it.
That whole playthrough is blocked by Sega. For whatever reason, Sega has blocked the entire playthrough and no one can watch it anymore. No explanation, they just blocked every single video of it. So I still get emails about this stuff.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind, this is someone who on Dspgaming alone has over like 50,000 videos. On YouTube as a whole, he has over 80,000. Just to keep that in mind.
Alright? Usually I just shrug it off. I'm like, whatever. Sometimes it's a video that's a newer video and I get pissed and then I'll dispute it because I want to obviously get the rights back to my newer videos that most people are still watching.
The money is mine, and I want the money.
But in general, when a video from 5 to 10 years ago gets claimed or whatever, I don't give a shit, right? What am I going to do about it? Sit here and spend tons of time arguing it when it doesn't really affect anything. It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, but then you'll just come on YouTube the next day and bitch about it on your pre-stream. You know, whatever it takes to fill that space of that hour and 20 minutes before you're actually forced to play video games. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, before he is forced to play video games.
As they say. In this case, it would be like the drop in the ocean with the amount of videos that I've got out there. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is overnight I got all these messages from YouTube. It seems that YouTube is systematically flagging every single video of Street Fighter 4 gameplay footage that's ever existed. This is not an exaggeration. Every single video of Street Fighter 4 footage that's ever existed, gameplay-wise. And they're flagging it saying that it's part of Capcom's tournament series. According to YouTube.
Now, I've been jumping back on and playing a little bit of Ultra Street Fighter 4 for the PS4 and for the Xbox One. And I gotta tell you, I hope another big push for this game comes back. Because just having, about a half hour, 40 minutes to kind of sit there and play it online, really reminds me of why it was one of the probably best Street Fighter games within some of our lifetimes and whatnot. To be honest, it's not just not just because of its accessibility, but it's just how the game feels. You know what I'm saying? It feels good. It's not like when I play Street Fighter 5 where it's just like you kind of have to just adjust constantly, and that's even before you start thinking about what your opponent's doing. It just feels right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing how far they strayed from the right formula. You know what I'm saying? It's really amazing how Capcom ended up doing that. But whatever. But it feels really good to play it. Now, as it pertains to his claims. So, there are a couple of the YouTubers that I know who, well, I should say that I follow, who play Street Fighter 4 religiously. And some of them had some problems, and most of them said that they were able to clear all of that up literally in just one dispute. It was taken care of. Now, am I saying that Phil has no legitimacy in what the problem is? Yeah, it's bullshit that this happened, but it can be disputed and it can be taken care of. But at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, this is coming from the same idiot who could have had his condo taken care of and sold in Connecticut and didn't want to because he didn't want the guy to call him. He wanted the guy to email him. So just saying. And ladies and gentlemen, let me also not go ahead and derive a little bit from the actual our destination. This man is he's a businessman. He's a businessman, which means that these type of issues are part of the business. It's part of the 12, 13, 14 hours, whatever it is that Phil says, that he's working every day behind the scenes. What are you bitching about? This is just part of the job, right? The dream job that everybody would love, and only the select few, the lucky ones, get. What are you complaining about? You work from home. Everything you do is essentially from home. Get the shit handled and move on with your day. But then, ladies and gentlemen, let's not go ahead and deter from the actual situation. This is an idiot who makes playing video games into a hassle. He makes it into a hassle. He says, "I played this game on the earlier stream, and it was so stressful, and it was so tenuous, and I just need to relax. I wish I could just have my gin and tonic right now, but everybody's gonna call me an alcoholic because I am an alcoholic. I need something to chill with. I need something to unwind with on my work day, despite the fact that I'm still working. Like, I get to make cocktails in my office and whatnot when I still have 3 or 4 more hours left." Left in my day, which is usually a bit longer than that, given that point. So let's not take any of that for granted, because Phil certainly has. DSP News.
Those videos were actually from the European Capcom Cup tournament series and are the legal property of Capcom, and therefore they've all been claimed by Capcom. I wasn't aware that Connecticut was in Europe, and that my condo in Connecticut is apparently the tournament hub for Street Fighter. And therefore, any footage of Street Fighter that I ever recorded is apparently the legal property of Capcom now. You see what I mean? So here's what happened. In reality, here's what really happened. Capcom and all their stupidity, because it's stupidity.
They want salt, I'll give them salt. I'll give them more than they can handle.
Told YouTube, here's a bunch of footage from our major tournament series, and we don't want anyone reposting this footage, so put this into your content ID system. YouTube did, but their content ID system is complete shit, and so what it's doing is flagging moments during gameplay that look the same, and flagging anyone's videos of fucking Street Fighter 4 that even look...
Now, I want you guys to think about this for just a second. Just for a second. We're talking about footage that's well over 7, 8 years old. Just to keep that in mind.
Close and claiming those for Capcom. Now, Capcom didn't intend to do this. You know, Capcom did not say, "Oh, we want to claim every single Street Fighter 4 video on YouTube to make money." That's not their intention. Their intention was to protect their own tournament series of videos so people wouldn't just rip them and re-upload them somewhere else to try to make money for themselves, and I totally understand that. The problem with this is that YouTube's content ID system does not work.
What can I tell you? Pigs love cake.
I've only said this about 25 times a year for the last 10 fucking years. It doesn't work. The algorithms don't work properly. They always misidentify the videos. The last time we talked about this...
So, if you've been bitching about this for the 25 times a year for the last 10 years, it's under reasonable circumstances, you know that the system's flawed. You know that there are going to be problems. Yet, you continue to bitch about them. And you wonder why people say you're toxic. You wonder why people say that you're negative. And you're wondering why that you can't get any sponsorship deals. Imagine that.
A couple months ago, when it was the composer behind Apex Legends soundtrack, alright, had loaded the soundtrack of Apex Legends, which, no lie, constitutes one song. The intro song when you're dropping out of the dropship down onto the map. Okay? That song was loaded into YouTube because they wanted to start selling that song on iTunes. And when they did that, everyone's videos of Apex Legends were getting claimed and matched up saying that it had that song in it, and so they were getting revenue from everyone who played Apex Legends. It doesn't make any fucking sense. The composer himself...
Actually, in truth, given what Snort Burnell's saying on screen there are probably videos that Phil has that YouTube is running ads on and Phil don't even know about it and whatnot. And they're collecting money off it. It's possible that that's happening. People have been debating that for a while. That on really, depending on how old your channel is and how old some of your videos are, you may have videos that have ads on it that you didn't even know that had ads, or you may have videos that have more ads on them, older videos I should say, that you didn't even know about, and most of that ad revenue is going straight to YouTube. Now, not all of it, because obviously YouTube's not stupid, they don't want all of that coming back on them, but on most people they have. Actually, there's a small thing going around, or well, allegedly, let me say that, allegedly that's going around, that people who have had what you would consider a dead channel, like a channel that they may have uploaded on 7 or 8 years ago and then they completely abandoned it, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, just for whatever the circumstance was. Supposedly those channels are popping back up, and supposedly their videos all have ads on them, even though the channels allegedly weren't monetized. Now that's just a thing that I had heard in passing. So that's why I say alleged, because I'd like to try to look into that and see if it's actually worth a damn. But it wouldn't be a surprise. You got all these channels that have been suspended for whatever reason, who people lost login information and couldn't get back into the account, this, that, and the third. All kinds of silly shit has happened over the years on YouTube. And it wouldn't be a surprise if YouTube made those channels live and then went ahead and just threw some ads on them just to collect off it. I mean, they have control to push any video into the trending section or anything anyway, theoretically. So it wouldn't be too offhanded. Now, am I saying they're doing that? No. It's just something that I've heard. It's something that people are theorizing about. It's an interesting thought, though, nonetheless. DSP News.
On Twitter, that's not what he had intended.
So, sorry. So Phil being a victim of circumstance doesn't necessarily surprise me.
He hoped that those smart guys at YouTube could figure it out. They don't. They don't figure anything out. They put it in a robotic, automated algorithm. They press the button, and then they walk away. They don't fix it. They don't refine it. The thing just fucking doesn't work, and it never has.
Oh, I gotta take
Well, what have you fixed or refined about your own content to make it better? I mean, you know what I'm saying? If we're going to go ahead and start throwing shots at people, what about you? What about your business? What have you fixed over the last couple of years? Oh, being forced to pay a business occupation tax that you should have been paying anyway? What, going to direct capture and yet having a webcam at 480p? When you actually had a higher quality, at least a higher quality webcam picture back when you were in Connecticut? You took a step back when you moved to Seattle. Like, how do you explain that? How do you walk all that off? So it's funny how one of the most laziest individuals in the existence of the internet, possibly, can sit there and bitch and complain about a company that he's been suckling at their tit for basically the majority of the time that he was on the internet, that he was able to, I should say. And then when the business goes through its shakes, wants to sit there and get mad about it, despite the fact that he said that he's already transitioned, he's already diversified over to something else, and has relegated the very source of his income to that of an archive channel that he puts no effort in at all. He just puts it up there for those who can't show up to his streams to be able to go over there and watch it on demand. His words, not mine. And yet we're getting this upset about it. Now, granted, as I said earlier on in this broadcast, it's between $35,000 and $50,000 that are up for grabs, that are on the line, if you will. But if Phil, and for that much money, would none of you not decide to put a little bit of effort into that very platform if you're pulling that much money? If you're making that much money on this platform to do nothing, wouldn't you want to put a little bit of effort in so you'd see if you could get more? If you're going to be greedy, at least let your greed drive you in the right direction. But no, Phil wants just YouTube to go back to the way it was in 2011 and 2012. What does he say? Milk and honey? He wants it to go back to those days and shit, and make money to literally do nothing. Sit around, be drunk, be impotent. And hence the reason why I couldn't get it up for Panda, and just go through life like that, spending his days thinking about John. Just saying, just putting it all out there. Yeah.
My mouth is full of salt.
So how these companies still to this fucking day are under this oddball misconception that Content ID works, I have no fucking idea, because anyone who uses YouTube regularly will tell you it doesn't. All they need to do is 5 seconds of research to real people who use the website, instead of listening to the bullshit PR spin and the marketing spin that probably YouTube's marketing team tells them. Oh, you want to use our Content ID system, pay us.
So, yeah, that's what they should do, ladies and gentlemen. They should take 5 seconds to go and look for rants on how the YouTube algorithm is not very good and the copyright system terrible, and watch all of Darksydephil'S pre-streams talking about it for hours on end. That's what they should do. That right there will teach them. That you want to meet the true king of suffering? You go to Darksydephil. Tell you all about it. He can't tell you how it works. He doesn't tell you. He can't tell you how the actual system is structured or anything. He'll just tell you how it doesn't work for him. That's news you can count on. DSP news.
Money and then load your content into it, and we'll make sure no one steals your content. It's bullshit. And they all fall for it because they're fucking ignorant. They're ignorant of the internet. They're ignorant of internet culture. They're ignorant of how YouTube works. And they never talk to any YouTubers to find out if it works or not. I could just tell from when I talked to that composer of Apex Legends on Twitter. This guy was completely ignorant of how Content ID worked and just thought that it would work without any hitches and thought that YouTube would fix it immediately when in reality they haven't fixed the damn thing. People's videos of Apex Legends still get claimed and there's nothing anyone can do about it. So, all that being said, I just thought this was a funny story because I almost guarantee you that...
Now keep in mind, this is the same idiot who ended up insulting this individual, getting into a conversation with him, says he won, got mad when people shitted on him, and then proceeded to spend the next couple of pre-streams saying that you guys should go ahead and you guys should give me more credit because I ended up talking to this guy and I actually ended up winning. And you guys should give me more credit for that. I actually won the conversation, guys. You should praise me for it. And then not long after, Pro Jared comes up. It's amazing how things fall into place, yeah?
More and more every day. More and more of my Street Fighter 4 videos from over the years are going to get claimed.
Oh, you're gonna get salt. It's even now, again, my mouth overpowered with salt flavor.
Sorry, Phil, that might not actually be salt.
Imagine the thousands of Street Fighter 4 videos that I have out there that are now going to slowly get claimed because they've loaded in these, you know, Capcom tournament series into Content ID. Can you imagine how everyone's videos of Street Fighter 4 will now get claimed? And in reality, guys, is this a humongous problem for me? It's not. All right. Again, it's a drop in the ocean for me because I've made so many videos over the years that every day I could get like 10 to 100 videos claimed. And it's not that big of a deal because the bottom line is, first of all, people don't watch the old videos that much. They're old. You know, who's watching...
So we're going to bitch and complain about a situation that's ailing us. And others, allegedly. He uses others instead of himself because he doesn't want to sound like a complete total asshole. Despite the fact that it actually makes him sound like a complete and total asshole. So we're going to bitch and complain about a system that doesn't work and how his videos, as well as others, are being claimed. And then backtrack and be like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? Because those videos are really old anyway. Or people don't watch them. Or this, that, and the third. So you wasted the last 5 or 10 minutes of this people's time for what? To make what point? Excuse me. Especially we're talking about videos that were back from your days of Connecticut. So we're talking about easily 7 or 8 years ago. But it doesn't really mean anything, guys. It's not like he's really taking it to heart or anything. It's not like there's really any significance to any of those things. You know, I just thought I'd bring it to your attention, I guess. Really, Phil?
Street Fighter 4 coverage from 7-8 years ago at this point in 2019. Not a hell of a lot of people, okay? Unless you're just reminiscing about the old game or whatever. You know, and number two...
Actually, I have an interesting theory about that. So, it says right here, this is a clear indication that Dspgaming is a dead channel and it's already rotting away slowly. If you look closely, you can see the worms coming out of the channel. I agree with that statement, first off. I also would like to add on to it that it's because of the amount of content that's on the channel is what's killed it. It's because Phil has so much content on the channel that you could kind of say that as let's say every YouTube channel, for example, has its own memory block, right? And so given what you put into that memory block depends on what the output would be for the system itself, the system being YouTube. He pretty much from the jump overloaded his memory block to the point where it bled out onto other people. And then it ended up corrupting those systems, and then essentially the section that he was at just completely blew out. And it's been doing so ever since. So if you think about it, every little view that he was catching after that blowout was literally just trickles of what it could have been. And so, when the false copyright claims for the fan art and everything came through, it essentially just, if anything, it gave it a hard reset. But because Phil was an idiot and deleted all of those pre-streams on his own accord, because I still firmly hold to the belief that Phil deleted those videos. YouTube didn't tell him to do it, and Machinima didn't tell him to do it. They probably told him, wait, chill out, we'll get this worked out. Phil was in panic and be like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose everything I have, ree! He went ahead and went into panic mode and immediately deleted them. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, he actually privated those videos and whatnot, but Phil has admitted later on that he ended up deleting them. He deleted all those pre-streams. He's the one who screwed himself over. YouTube didn't do it, and Machinima didn't do it. Machinima and YouTube, well, Machinima anyway, would have protected him. That's what being in a well, I guess, being in a managed partnership back in those days meant. You were protected. You had one copyright claim on you, or false copyright claim, or whatever. You had one. Just calm down, let these people do their goddamn job, and things might have been alright. But since he didn't, and he did all that shit and lost 3 million views or whatever, recently he said he's changed that story and he's changed it to 8 million views that are now allegedly he lost. He basically forced a hard reset on his system and didn't reboot it properly. And there you go. That's why he's at where he's at now. But it's because of the sheer amount of videos that he has is what's killed him off. It didn't help him, it hurt him. Because it looks like spam. Hence the reason why the whole Google Plus debacle or Spamgate. I think, to be honest with you, that was a by proxy of it. Phil ended up going to longer videos because he really had no choice. The shorter videos was killing him. And it was obviously bringing a lot of attention to his channel that he didn't want. Whether that's the automated system, it's probably more likely the automated system, picked up some type of anomaly and did what it could to try to stop it so it could figure it out. Because at the end of the day, that's what a system will do. A system will shut off certain parts of itself to save the rest. Kind of like the human body. If you have frostbite, for example, right? Or if you're going through it or whatnot, your body will sacrifice your fingers, your toes. It'll sacrifice your limbs. It'll do everything to make sure that the core still exists, that the core continues to move forward. It's just part of human nature. It's just part of nature in general. So Phil, in truth, brought a lot of this on himself. Years and years of abuse on YouTube brought him to where he's at now. It's nobody else's fault but his own. DSP News.
On a daily basis, I put out enough gameplay footage. You know what I mean? Like, I put out at least 4 to 6, if not longer, amount of hours a day of gameplay footage to kind of make up for that anyway. So, oh no, a couple old videos got claimed, but I put out new videos that people are watching. You see what I mean? So it kind of negates any negative impact. So, in reality, it's not horrendously bad for me.
As little as $1 helps, okay? Everything's got to be about making the almighty dollar.
But can you imagine if you were a content creator who only did Street Fighter? Just think about that. These guys who are pro-level players, all they do is play Street Fighter. They rely on your watching of their footage of Street Fighter in order for them to make a living. And up to now, it's been fine. Up to now, they've never had an issue. But now, all of a sudden, they notice all their videos are getting claimed by Capcom erroneously. Because of
No, that's not necessarily true. There are some channels, I'm not going to call anybody out because I actually like some of these channels, that will take tournament footage and splice it up. Now, back in the day, and even now to some extent, there are people who will just take the tournament footage off stream. They'll just clip it out or, you know, whatever, and then just go ahead and throw it up on their channel. There's people who still do that. It is what it is. There are other people who've gotten a bit more creative, where they will take tournament footage from recent stuff and then old tournament footage and splice it all together. They'll splice these different matches together and whatnot. So a really clever way of hiding the tournament footage. But I'm not saying that's exactly what they're doing. I'm just saying it's a way of kind of, you know, giving you something old, giving you something new, and making it transformative. There's stuff like that. And I think there are some people at Capcom who are acquainted with this whole streaming and YouTube thing who look to try to shut some of those things down. And if you have to... If, you know, hey, you know, you can't make an omelet without cracking some eggs. There's going to be collateral damage. You know what I'm saying? That's what this kind of comes down to. This is what business is, Phil. I know this sounds foreign to you, but this is how business goes. You know what I mean? You've had videos taken down before, Phil, because what? You wanted to protect your intellectual property. That doesn't mean a damn to you now, hence the reason why you don't do it. But to protect your image from public slander. Which, that definitely doesn't mean a damn to you now, except for on Twitch. But that doesn't mean shit because everybody thinks you're a laughingstock anyway. So you understand that sometimes you're going to have to bloody your hands a little bit for the sake of business. It is what it is. The problem is that it doesn't benefit Phil. When other people are getting fucked over, who cares? Phil's gonna be like, oh, sucks for them. If this wasn't happening to him now, he wouldn't even talk about it. And if he did, he would do it in passing about, oh, it sucks for these people right here. The system doesn't work for everybody. And then he move on. Goat laugh. Or, no, let's see, he has the hissing one, like the and then he has, well, yeah, I guess he has the goat laugh. It doesn't sound like that, though. But then he has his goat laugh, and then so on and so forth. And then he would just move on with his day. But since it affects Phil, we have to go ahead and put this emphasis on it. Like the world is such a big thing. And then Phil tries to go ahead and comes out later, because, you know, he's supposed to be the king of hate and everything, and say, oh, it doesn't really hurt me, though. Plot armor comes into play in that what I do currently, it nullifies all of that. Now, I could be making money off of that situation, though, off of those back videos, which is why this whole rant has started in the first place. But it doesn't really affect me, though, either which way, because my new videos cancel out those, and either which way, I'm going to be all right. Despite the fact that if you go to his second stream, he goes on a bit of a tantrum for about 15-20 minutes about how he really needs this money. You guys need to please help. Despite the fact that he's not pumping nothing out on Patreon, which went from $12.50 to like $400 and something. Priorities? Your priorities, I suppose, I guess? I don't know.
Algorithms. What the fuck? How is that fair to them?
Listen, I know that that's a little bit hypocritical. Very, very, very hypocritical. Pretty hypocritical, I agree. I'm hypocritical. You're a hypocrite, and you're an asshole.
But anyway, this is all just me kind of venting a little bit about YouTube. Every once in a while I do this, and I apologize for those who just don't give a shit, but I just think it's funny that YouTube thinks that my local footage of Street Fighter 4 filmed in my Connecticut condo is from the European Capcom Cup Tournament Series. Okay, then. I mean, that's probably giving me way more credit than I deserve to say that I was playing at a tournament level at any time in Street Fighter 4, because I know I wasn't. Okay?
I myself am a former pro fighting game player.
I'm just overall pretty good at all kinds of different games. I think I could take something like that World Cyber Games Ultimate Gamer. You want to know the truth? I'm probably one of the best overall gamers in the country.
Any moment.
It's funny that he says that, too, but the cowards still didn't go out and do it. He didn't. They asked him to go. He had a great opportunity to, but he was a coward and he didn't go. Justin Wong went. Hence, Justin Wong ended up, I guess you could say to some degree, became a household name, or at least he became a bit more well versed, if you will. That would have been a great opportunity for Phil. Phil can sit on his little chair over there in Connecticut and whatnot, and boast about whatever he wants from his little throne. But then when it was time to put up, he didn't do it. Imagine that. Imagine sitting there saying that I could play, you know, I'm probably one of the best overall gamers in the country, and then not go on to the very show where you could prove it. That's kind of like low tier God saying that I want to be well known, I want recognition, and then gets the chance to go on that esports show, and gets the opportunity to go on to that esports reality show, and then decides not to go. So you can say what you want about low tier God, and the majority of what you would say would be true. But when opportunities came about, he grasped at it and he went. Even though Low Tier God lost the first episode of that show, he still went on that show. Phil wasn't even man enough to do that. And that's years before Low Tier God was even around. So when Phil wants to sit there and say that he's a trailblazer, he helped start a lot of these things. The thing is about being a trailblazer, Phil, is a trailblazer has to take the first step. And you were too scared to even do that. Dspnews.
I can pick up a controller, and I can play any game at professional level. I am a former professional fighting game player in the capacity, not that I did it for a living.
Oh, and another thing, too. I just thought about it. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, for some of you guys who don't know about spam lore. Spam lore. That's because Phil is very much a pig parts at this point. Just in case you guys don't know what spam is made out of. He used to upload his footage, his match by match, which is something that tournament organizers and players do too. Sometimes they actually upload the actual sets. So instead of it being 2-minute matches or whatever the case may be, it'll be like maybe 10 minutes because they put the full setup. Phil should have done that too, but he didn't. He wanted that, literally the match by match, so he could throw his one little ad on there and keep things moving. He made a ridiculous amount of money to do nothing, and he scammed the system the best way he knew how.
High-level tournament player, 4th place at EVO, top player of Street Fighter 2 that year overall in the country. And then after that, years I had won, qualifiers, various qualifiers for EVO, and, done pretty good in tournaments overall in Street Fighter 2 over the years.
Oh my god, you've got to be kidding me. Guys, listen to this. I'm not even kidding you. I just got an email from YouTube. My Asura's Wrath demo gameplay part 1 has been claimed by Capcom because Capcom loaded their E3 live stream of Asura's Wrath from like 2012 into YouTube's Content ID system, and it identified my demo gameplay as their E3 stream. And so it's been claimed. I'm not even kidding, this just happened live. So it seems to me it's not even Street Fighter. It seems, I guess, Capcom loaded a bunch of all their official stuff into the Content ID system, and it's erroneously claiming everyone's videos of Capcom ever. Hodor Tar cheered and said, as a European, I thought that men visit barbershops and ladies go to the hairdresser. Do you appreciate the special care for your hair in salons? I would recommend that you buy your own hair clipper for buzz cuts. You would look fresh and save some money. Well, first of all, I don't want a buzz cut.
First things first. This is the same... Ooh! Okay, you want this guy to buy his own pair of clippers and, basically tighten himself up between haircuts. Now, most people do. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I have multiple clippers and whatnot because I don't know, I like variety and whatnot. Most of my friends are like that too, so on and so forth. And then if someone ever borrows one, I assume I'm never going to see it again. I assume I'll never see it again. So when I load it off and expect not to, and just it's whatever. But anyway, is that a good idea? Yes. Do most men do that? Yes. Phil has no hand-eye coordination at all in a video game. Could you imagine this idiot cutting his own hair? Have you not, if for some of you guys who are new and whatnot, and a lot of you who've been around can contest to this, you can you'll understand where I'm coming from with this. Have you guys ever seen Phil actually try to shave at times? It's horrible. Things are uneven. It looks really, really bad, especially back in like 2017, 2018. He did a horrible job with his shaving. You want him to actually cut his hair on his own. No. Now, next thing. This is a guy who said recently that he didn't like G Fuel because he had to actually mix it up and shake it himself. You really think he's going to spend 15, 20 minutes in the bathroom, edging up his own hair? Really? Really? No, not really. Not really at all. And Phil going to a salon over a barbershop, it makes sense. Kind of, sort of. I don't know. It seems kind of awkward. It kind of makes sense because Phil probably will feel less threatening in a salon over a barbershop. Let me explain. You put Phil in a barbershop with a bunch of dudes. Phil doesn't know shit about sports. He doesn't really know shit about news outside of Twitter. He don't listen to no music. He doesn't have any interest in cars. All he can really talk about is fast food. That's it. There's nothing that he can bring to the table in the sake of a conversation. All he can do is listen in and then try to play off that if he can. But other than that, he has nothing there. He has nothing for any of those conversations at all. And if he just sits there and stays quiet, which is fine, there are plenty of people who do, if he does it, it's going to make him come across as awkward. It's just not going to be a good look. And he just has a real hard time talking to people. At a salon, believe it or not, he's probably not going to feel as threatened. He's not, don't get me wrong, he's not going to gain any more machismo there, but he's not going to feel nearly as threatened. If any woman talks to him, he's going to speak to them in a very cautious manner. And for some women, they like that. So, in a way, it kind of works for both sides, to some extent. For some other women, it's just like, it's no big deal. He's just a client, put his ass in the chair, ask him how he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Try to get as much bacon grease out of his hair into the sink as possible. Sadly, you're probably going to take some of his hair with it. Wash him up as best you can and get him the fuck out. I would assume that's what the situation's going to be. I mean, it's kind of a win-win, to be honest. But let's see what his excuse is, though. I assume it has something to do with cat.
Doesn't matter. Is when I was younger, I got a buzz cut for a long time. It was basically high school, end of high school through 2010. I always got a buzz cut. And then in 2010, when I decided I was going to start doing YouTube as a full-time thing because I got laid off from my office job, I said, I'm going to grow out my hair, and we're going to see how it looks, okay? And ever since then, you know, I've gone to when I lived in Connecticut, I did go to a barber. But then when I moved out here, right across the street, kind of from where I lived, there was a hairmaster's haircutter place. And I just walked in one day, and, you know, this woman cut my hair and did a really good job. And I said, why not just keep going? Now, since then, it's a funny story.
Oh, look at that. Now, here's the thing. You can kind of see the flatness of the back of his head that I was talking about earlier. But that bald spot right there is really just the tip of the iceberg, ladies and gentlemen. Because at the top of his head, literally almost right where that's at, so it's almost going to make like a straight line in some ways, he's starting to bald. He's starting to go thin and balding out there too. It's kind of like a reverse mohawk. It's just going to be a bald hog, I guess. I don't know. I'm terrible with puns. But that's essentially what is happening. And like I said, this was back when he did that DSP tries it in his bathroom with that ear cleaner dumb shit. It's gotten a whole lot worse. And if you guys have been paying attention lately to him doing that, it's not even a dab. It looks like a lazy Nazi salute, I guess. Anyway, when he does that, the top of his head shows the line that I'm talking about. Not the one that you're seeing right here on screen, but the one that's on the top of his head that's slowly starting to form. That's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Anyway, so it'll be interesting to see how his confidence holds up when he starts to lose his hair.
Time for me to start losing more fucking hair.
She actually got promoted because she was such a good person. She's so good at what she did, haircutting. She got promoted and now has her own store.
So some interesting lore, right? Because we started to hear a little bit more about the hairdresser around the mysterious girlfriend / escort saga for a while. Because people were speculating on what Phil was doing. I was right there in the thick of it and whatnot. It was kind of fun. It was fun time. And I was saying that it wouldn't be surprised. Like, you remember when he had that situation behind the scenes that he couldn't talk about? Come to find out, it was taxes. But he's like, I got this problem going on, and it could really hurt me. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what to do, and I'm trying to work things out. I had said, and I think other people had said it too, but I know I had said for sure. I might have been the only idiot to actually say it. I'll take the credit for it. That he may have had an issue with that hairdresser. Maybe he had came on to her. Maybe he asked her to go on a date. Maybe he, whatever the case may be, in a way that she didn't feel comfortable. So maybe he was trying to work out that situation before it blew up in his face. All kinds of silly shit. Because during that time when Panda was gone, he was talking about this hairdresser more and more, which leads me to believe that in some degree, she was kind of like an emotional crutch for him. You know what I'm saying? Granted, he probably didn't pig-splain everything to her, but he certainly, appreciated the time that he had with her. And why not? You have a woman who's attentive to you for about 20 to 30 minutes, I guess, depending on how Phil gets his hair done and whatnot. So for Phil, any woman who is attentive to him, he's going to have some type of attachment to. You know what I mean? Even in something small as getting your hair cut. So I was surmising that maybe there's an issue with that whole hairdresser thing. And I'm sure there was some other people who thought it too. And that didn't pan out. But it was still a nice theory while it was out there, though. Not necessarily a Theo theory, but it was a nice theory to toss out there at the time. I thought it was fun. That's not necessarily our solo barbershops kind of going away. I guess it depends on where you're at. What you're seeing, or what you have been seeing, I should say, for a while now, excuse me, is that you're finding more barbershops and salons just merging and whatnot. Which, I don't know. I think every barbershop that I had ever gone to, they always had the salon either in the front as soon as you walk in or towards the back. So it is what it was, to be honest with you. As for like the more corporate chains or whatnot, I've never been into any one of those. So it is what it is. Like, I think for guys especially, you kind of know where all the spots are at and whatnot. So you kind of go to what's convenient given the time. Like, for myself, for example, there's probably like, I probably have like 4 barbers that I go to. And it all's kind of situational. Like, I have one guy who I go to on the regular. If for whatever reason that he's not there, he's out of town, or whatever the case may be, then I have some standbys and whatnot, who all do great jobs and shit. It's just I've been going to this due to the first guy a lot longer, so it is what it is. So having loyalty, it's just loyalty to whoever it is that does your hair. But I wouldn't say all barbershops are dying out. Eventually they will, and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you'll always be able to find some spot out there that does a great job and whatnot. It is what it is. Like, dude, I've gone into barbershops, dude, where there's like 45-minute waits on like 2 dudes and whatnot, maybe even 3 guys. And there's like 2 other dudes over here that aren't doing anything, waiting, because everybody else is sitting here waiting for those cats. You don't lose money like that. those individual guys might lose some bread and whatnot, but you don't lose money like that. Because especially for what some barbershops charge for just to rent the chair out to barbers, they make Skrilla. They make really good money. And salons make even more. But, but then again, time is money. So, just something to think about. Like I said, it depends on where you're at. It's really not that hard, though. Like I said, but it depends on where you're at, I suppose. No, you a liar. That's why he won't show you the top of his head there, and he knows it. He wants to show you this fucking ginormous forehead and whatnot, and then I'm not gonna call it the Vegeta hairline because that's insulting Vegeta, and I'm not doing that. But he knows what he's doing with that shit. Show the top of your head, Phil. Like, go ahead and lean your head forward just slightly for that lean in manual band, or that lean in manual snort, as I like to call it. Do that shit and let us see the top of your head there. You're not gonna do that, so there you go. Alright, right before he puts the pillow over his head for the last time. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. So, that's pretty much that, as it pertains to that situation. Amusing as it may have been. So, complaining about YouTube because he wants to hold on to whatever little money he can make. I get that. Do what you will. And the situation with his hair, he's going to lose his hair regardless. Whether it's a genetic kind of like a genetic thing, whether it's hereditary, which actually is basically the same thing. Whether it's hereditary, he's losing his hair because that's what runs in his family, whether it's some type of defect that he was born with or whatever the situation is, or some type of medical condition that he has, it is what it is. Phil didn't take care of himself. Some of that stuff could have been avoided, some of it may have not. It's what happens when you don't take care of yourself, ladies and gentlemen. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? At least in this life, you only have one temple. Do the best you can with it. Phil didn't do that. He caught gout. And it's my understanding, because, you know, I'm recording this late, that Phil allegedly isn't feeling very good. So, I don't know if he's going to take any days off. I would assume he is. And I guess we'll talk about that when that comes around. But he's already talking about he's not feeling very well. And you know what happens when that happens. So, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. Like I said, I got a lot to catch up on. I know. And I'm working towards that. And this is hopefully a step in the right direction. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys for the next broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network Productions for the Snort Report. I'm your host / anchor, GTG, and I'm signing off. Take care of yourselves. End the broadcast. With that lean in manual snort.